This is Ted at Rediker Software. Today's webinar is all about the Rediker PlusPortals. I've often described the PlusPortals as maybe one of the most important parts of the entire system that we offer at Rediker. And the reason is even though it's not considered the brains of the operation like the Admin Plus SIS might be, it's the part of the environment that more people interact with than any other piece of software. Potentially used by all the administrators at the school, all the teachers at the school, all the students at the school, and all the parents at the school. And so today we're dedicated to walking through this environment, this thing we call the PlusPortals, really with the goal of we want to make sure that you are fully aware of all of the capabilities that exist inside of this tool, have a little understanding about how to use them, and help you understand what you would do next if you were not currently utilizing the PlusPortals and wanted to get going on it. And so this is for parents, students, teachers, and administrators, and it's the exact same website that everybody goes to. In the case of my school, it is plusportals.com/the Shimura Academy. And this is a typical sign-in page. There's a couple different presentations of this. If you haven't seen something like this before, it's one of the options in the PlusPortals to show more than just the login screen, but to show some of the content that is inside of the portals. I've already decided now we're going to go ahead and log in first as one of the teachers at the school. Her name is Dawn Canavan. And before we're done, we're going to log in as a student. We're going to log in as a parent. We're going to log in as an administrator as well. But right now we're starting off as a teacher. I guess the PlusPortals could be best described as a kind of a gigantic communications, collaboration, and content management system. It's really all about content and communications. We're going to float across the top of the menu here, again, from a teacher's perspective right now. Teachers would have access to this thing called a homepage. We'll be back to this in just a moment and look at some of the content there. Teachers are one click away from entering into their gradebook environment by doing that. There is a calendaring system built into the PlusPortals that can host events that are posted by administrators at the school, typically front office staff, if you will, but also teachers are able to go in and add new events onto the calendar and make those events visible to the parents and the students in one or more of the classes that they teach, so they can post something for everybody to see or only those who are in specific classes. The teachers have the ability to not only view, but add discipline incidences into the system. So, for example, maybe Don Canavan here wants to go in and look at the discipline incidences for all the pre-K students in the school from the 1st of January until now. This can be pretty insightful. Like, she can immediately just sort by student and maybe see where the multiple offenders are and where some of the challenging students might be. It's also very easy for her to go in and click in to see some of the details about, the fact that this incident that happened today was the student disrespecting the staff member by sticking their tongue out at the teacher. So great area here to go in and to view discipline incidences. And in a few minutes, we'll talk about the ability for teachers to submit discipline incidences in as well. I'm going to skip the course requests for a moment. We're going to look at that from the perspective of a high school student that may want to request to take certain classes next year. A school announcements screen is a place where this teacher can look at any announcements or alerts or notifications that have been posted. This would, again, typically be coming from the school office, but not exclusively. In the emails and messaging system, it reveals a complete email communication system, which is built right inside of the PlusPortals. It is pre-wired to all of the email addresses of the parents and of the students. and of the staff members at the school. And it's set up so that a teacher like this could go in very, very quickly without having to change her school email address, meaning the PlusPortals utilizes the same email addresses that are already in place at the school. But what this brings to the table is the ability for the teacher to very, very quickly go in and say, hey, I would like to send out an email message to all of the parents of all of the students in my music development class. And in just a couple of seconds here, so all she needs to do is click OK. And then basically she has an email composition screen. The email addresses of the parents are right there. You know, if a student changes classes or unenrolls from the class, or a new student gets added into the class, because all of these email addresses are coming from Admin Plus, right? It's all in Admin Plus already. In fact, all of the contact information, all of the user logins for the students and for the parents and for the staff members, it's already in Admin Plus, which is why it's so great that, there's no need for you to separately manage an email distribution system for the teachers. They don't have to worry about the email addresses. They don't have to try to combine them into classes, et cetera, et cetera. It's already done. So all they need to do is go ahead and fire in their subject line, maybe attach some files, and then go ahead and compose the email message. And utilizing the formatting tools to make it look professional, go ahead and send it on out. It's very, very simple to work with the email. The e-locker is a multi-function area where teachers can, for example, review assignments that were submitted to them by the students. Talk more about that in a few minutes. If any of the students are taking any of the quizzes that teachers create inside of the system, then what happens here is that teachers are able to go ahead and see those quizzes here and even pop in there and see how the students are doing on the quizzes, and finishing and submitting them would take the scores that the students earned by virtue of taking the quiz and automatically enter it on into the gradebook. And of course, the e-portfolio system is a system here where, for any particular student, if they have any documents in their Admin Plus portfolio where the teachers have been given visibility to them, then it's something where the teacher can go ahead and look at that computer file that is stored inside of the portfolio in Admin Plus. This is a great way to share information about a student that maybe lives inside of a Word document or some other PDF file or computer file. And just by enabling the visibility for the teachers, they're able to access those files through the e-locker in the PlusPortals. The PlusPortals is also the gateway to Admin Plus online forms. And so in this case, Dawn Canavan is a staff member. I have a staff member update form that would allow the teacher, in this case, to go in and keep some of the information that we have on file for this teacher up to date. They can go in, look at this information, and if anything is wrong, then she can go ahead and update it and attach some files and submit it on in. And of course, that can be retrieved back into Admin Plus or adminplus.com. And the directory is a fantastic creation that leverages the fact that, once again, the contact information for all of these people, and in my school, that's a lot. There are 71 staff members. There are 600 parents of students. And so this directory is automatically created. I once spoke to a school that told me that they were spending up to 12 to 15 hours per year to produce a directory at the school. And again, because this information is already in here, you'll see when we log in as an administrator how you have the control over how much of this information will show up. And in a few minutes, you'll also see how parents can control how much of their information is potentially exposed through the directory. Now, the groups area in the Plus Portals are for those circumstances when you have things like the debate team or the football team or the soccer club or something like that. And this teacher may be a part of it. In fact, this teacher, Dawn Canavan, is part of the leadership of the football team. Like, I guess she's an assistant coach or maybe a trainer or something like that, and may need the ability to see the list of all of the students who are on that team. She's been given the rights to control the team summary page. She can come on in here and edit this information, which acts in essence like a class page, but for the football team. She'd also have the ability to come in here and post resources. This is going to be a recurring theme here as we go through and look at resources. Resources are basically computer files and web page links that are posted into the portal to make it easy for people who need to get to this stuff to get to this stuff. So what could be more appropriate for a football team than maybe some information on concussions or conditioning drills? These are resources that have been found and posted here in the portals in the groups area so that the parents of the students who play on the football team and the football team themselves and anybody else that presides over the football team has a place to go where all of this content can be centralized and maintained. And they've got their own announcements and alerts area, the ability to come in here and very, very easily post some type of announcement or alert, which can then be saved up and immediately goes in and becomes visible to the people, in this case, who are on the football team. Of course, there's a calendar for the football team as well. You'll see here that in this case, the teacher who is part of the football team has this ability to go in and add a new event relating to the football team and do the usual stuff, put in the content, set the visibility controls to the date range, etc., and go ahead and save that up so that event appears on the integrated calendar for everybody that's involved with the football team. Settings for teachers, lots of settings. Ability for them to decide which of the courses that they teach are going to show up in the portals. If a teacher is teaching a particular course which doesn't take place until the second half of the year, they may not want it to clutter the interface. They can hide it from the visibility from the parents and students temporarily, and then when it's time to show that course, they can bring it back to life again. They can make some decisions about, for example, when they put an assignment into the system, do they want it to automatically post to the calendar as well as the assignments list? You'll see how these things work in just a couple of minutes here. In fact, let's get out of this main area and let's dive into classroom-specific content. Dawn Canavan teaches a number of subjects or classes. They're all listed right here. And notice how convenient it is for her to click and launch off to the gradebook for that specific class, or to do other functions like go to the discipline area for that class, the student list, and all of these other controls. But I'm going to dive right into one of the classes. I'm going to dive into that music development class that I love so much, and we'll look at some of the features available to teachers when it comes to them providing content about the classes that they teach. Again, in this case, it is the music class. And so she's created an appropriate class summary page. Maybe put a welcome message there or an overview of the class, the goals and itinerary for the class. She might want to schedule some meetings for the students or the parents of the students to attend virtually. So she can add those in here and select if it's going to be all of the students that show up or if it's going to be all of the students that are invited or some subset of them. And then she'll go ahead and send out a notification perhaps and schedule those meetings. The links to the meetings will conveniently be placed in the portals so that everybody knows, hey, there's only one place that I need to go to be able to join those meetings. Teachers give assignments all the time. And the portals makes it easy for them to enter that assignment in, giving it a title and a set of instructions to follow, putting in the due date, even controlling when the assignment is visible, providing links to a web page, attaching files to that assignment, ones that might be helpful to the student as they go to accomplish it, assigning this assignment to one or more of the classes that they teach, again, posting it to the calendar, perhaps categorizing it and deciding whether this assignment is, if it's going to be graded, why not check the box and have the system add it right into the grade book so that the teacher can easily grade the assignment after it's done. The system allows teachers to create online quizzes. And if they're constructed using the right types of questions like true and false or multiple choice, the system is capable of even grading those assignments and entering the scores on those assignments right on into the gradebook environment. Here's a sample quiz. You got your true and false. You got some multiple choice happening there. Plenty of capability in the quiz builder. Moving on down, discussions. Discussions are designed to promote classroom discussions. When we go, the teacher wants to prompt a discussion among the students in the class, so they use a prompt, they put it in there, they put in images, etc., and it's set up so that once the teacher puts in the prompt, the students are able to chime in and have an online multi-threaded classroom discussion over a topic. And this is constructed in a manner that would allow a grade to be assigned by the teacher for that discussion and entered on into the grade book. Once again, the ability to create classroom announcements and alerts, and to put in links to various web pages, and to put up helpful computer files, in this case regarding the music class. So later on, when we log in as the student and the student needs a convenient way to access some free staff paper, they'll have a link that they can click on very easily throughout the entire portion of the class to be able to get to that resource. But we're just kind of getting started here. The teachers have this ability to utilize a lesson planner. Lesson planners allows them to take their curriculum and break it up into logical chunks and then display that content here inside of the PlusPortals. They can put in the objective and the overview for a particular lesson plan, and they can add activities such as assignments or quizzes attached to that lesson plan. Put in more digital resources. Once again, these are links to websites and computer files that can be hosted in the portals and attached to this class. And there's no practical limitation to the amount of content that teachers can put in here. So if they have a lot of curriculum content and they need a place to organize it, it's right there. If teachers have students uploading assignments to them, which is another feature of the portal, then teachers can come in here and review those submissions, opening up copies of Google document links or other computer file links, even providing commentary on the assignments. We talked a little bit about the discipline area earlier. We talked about looking at the discipline record of a student, but it's very, very easy for teachers to go in and add a discipline infraction. So if they caught a student fighting in the class and they wanted to say, well, it actually happened in the hallway outside of the class, and type up a little commentary on it and go ahead and submit that in, then this will become available to be placed onto the student's record in Admin Plus. Very, very efficient way of recording these discipline incidences and putting them on file. I'm still hearing about schools that have teachers fill out paper reports and bring them to the office. And then I guess, I don't know, somebody takes them and they maybe type them into a computer system. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me with a beautiful system right here. The scores area inside of the program is designed so that if you have If you have report card grades for these students in here, you would see them. But more on that in just a minute. Let's move on over to the attendance area where the teacher is able to see detailed attendance data for each one of the students in their class. Again, we're in the music class right now, so we're looking at data relating to the students that are enrolled in this class. Coming into the students area, we're getting a lot of detail here about a particular student, like how is the student doing, maybe, like not only in my class, but how are they doing in the other classes that they're taking? That's a common question that teachers ask. And they want the ability to see the students' grades. Again, the assignment scores, not only in the classes that I teach, but if the student takes another class with another teacher, how are they doing on their assignments over there? Let's look at their discipline record. Again, let's look at their attendance totals. Let's have a look at their workload. This would be the upcoming assignments that they've been given by the various teachers that they have. So an incredible amount of information here. If we go to view demographics, we're seeing more detailed information about this particular student. We can even go ahead and view their schedule, which comes in handy from time to time. Progress reports. Many teachers will generate progress reports for their students, and this allows them the ability to come in and see these reports that are generated. In this case, it was a combined progress report for this student, which will show basically this teacher how, not only how the student is doing in all the other classes that they're taking, but provide details as well. This is a skills-based grading system here. You'll see an enormous amount of detail here. And again, this is all in the context of the music class. And then the resources and the announcement tabs are two additional places where the teacher can pretty much accomplish the same thing that they were able to accomplish earlier. And that would mean adding additional links or adding additional files onto the portals for this class. So if a teacher wanted to take a computer file and upload it and make it part of the resources area, this is where they would go ahead and do that. Okay, that's a lot of content, I know, but there's a lot of things that can be done. I do want to switch gears here now, and let's move over to a different perspective. Just before we do, I suppose that I will do one quick thing here. I'm going to go ahead and give Camille Adams I'm going to give her a score on this project here, this 50-point project. I'll give it a 49. I'm going to enter that in, and we'll go ahead and remove this annotation about the fact that her work was missing. It's not missing. She earned a 49 on that project. And now what I want to do is go figure out which one of these web browsers, and we'll get logged in as the student Camille Adams. So again, it's the same login for everybody. Here comes Camille Adams, and we're looking now at things from the perspective of a student. Now, obviously, Camille is not going to have access to information about any other student in the class, and this is stuff that's particular to her. Like the fact that she earned a 49 out of 50 on this assignment here, right? And she's able to see her own attendance information. If she was invited to any meetings, she would see them here. Matter of fact, here they are with the weekly check-in and this other meeting, and this gives her the ability to join the meeting with a simple click of the mouse. So a fantastic way to get meeting links right in front of the students or the parents of the students that need to see it. Now, teachers are posting assignments into the portals and into the gradebook, and those assignments are here in the upcoming coursework area. You'll see access to that discussion that's due on the 17th. You've got a quiz that's due on the 27th. You've got facility here for the student to take the quiz or communicate with the teacher. Notice this ability for the student to grab access to resources that are being posted from the school office and from the teachers' classrooms. In this case, the student handbook and the street map, these were posted by the office. They're called school links and files. But you'll see in a minute, as she goes into her individual classes, she will see announcements, notifications, and resources coming from the individual teachers whose classes she participates in. Now, once again, Camille has access to the calendar. She's got access to the email system because we've given students access to that. She can go into the e-locker and submit her assignments. She can go over to the e-portfolio. If there were reports here that were put into her portfolio, she'd be able to download them and look at them, etc., etc. The news feed is great because it merges feeds coming from the school office and from the classroom announcements and alerts and any groups that the student might be a part of. In this case, she's not, so there's nothing appearing here. Now, of course, this portal for the student serves as a means to dive into the individual classrooms that she's a part of. So she's a student inside of that music development class. So with a single click of the mouse, now she's in there looking at the class page, looking at the list of online meetings that she might be invited to, looking at the list of assignments that she needs to deal with, looking at the announcements and alerts for this class. These are not school announcements now. These are the classroom announcements coming for the music class. And earlier we talked about these resources. The teacher was good enough to add these resources for the benefit of the student. And for example, this link to free staff paper would make it very simple for the student to get to this important resource at any time of the day or the night. And again, we're just kind of getting started here. If we move over to the lesson plans, the teacher has created these lesson plans and posted content in here, and we're making it so that the student can consume this additional content. And so, again, for teachers that have a lot of academic content and maybe don't have a great way to organize it all, this serves as a fantastic way to organize that content, putting it into what are called units and lessons and making it easy to be consumed. Of course, the detailed performance data is going to be available so that the students can see the report card grades that they've earned in particular marking periods. They can also see how they're doing on their tests and quizzes and homework assignments. If you'll recall, a few minutes ago, we gave the student a 49 on this project that was worth 50 points, and you can clearly see the live nature of the system here. The teacher has even put some narrative comments into the gradebook and is showing a list here of the assignments where no scores have been posted yet. And so a lot of information here for the benefit of the student, including access to any of the progress reports that may have been generated. In this case, we've got, again, a combined progress report that was run just today, in fact, coincidentally, and the student is able to go in and see the totality of this progress report. Let's get logged out as a student for a moment, and let's switch gears here and allow me to enter in as one of the parents at the school. And I am purposefully saving a good chunk of time to talk about the administration of these portals. Very, very important to understand that what you're seeing here in my portals is not necessarily at all what your portals is going to look like. Each one of the Rediker customers, every one of you here, has the ability to go in and tailor the information and the visibility of blocks of information. And so we're getting to that in about 5 minutes. But now here we are as the parent, Eleanor Adams. Similar interface, except she's the mother of 3 children in the school. And so she's not only able to see information on one of those students, but she's able to see information relating to all 3 of them. And in the case of, I'll be back to the home screen in a minute. In the case of her calendar, she's going to see a combined calendar. If there are, for examples, assignments that were posted by one of Hank's teachers, such that they show up on the calendar, and Camille has a bunch of other teachers who are posting assignments, this calendar is intelligent enough to combine those so that mom can get a comprehensive view of what's going on. Again, these calendar events can be posted by office staff like guidance counselors and principals, etc. But the teachers who preside over these students, they can post events onto the calendar, and anybody that presides over one of the groups, like the drama club or the debate team or the chess club or the hockey team, can also post calendar activities or events, we call them, onto the calendar. Once again, parents have this ability to access the email system that so that anybody at the school who has the authority to blast out emails or send them out individually, there's a single place to go where mom can see all of the emails that are coming through the PlusPortals, even as these emails are also delivering to her conventional email like her Gmail or Outlook or Yahoo or whatever. Any emails sent through the PlusPortals arrive both in the PlusPortals and to that external email account that they'd be sending the email to. Once again, access to the e-locker to look at the quizzes, access to the e-portfolio. Many of our customers, when they publish their report cards, they instruct the system to add the report card to the PlusPortals. And that makes it possible for the parent to come along and gain access to that report card copy and download that at will without having to contact the school. It's perhaps the most secure way for schools to deliver report cards and transcripts rather than sending them home with paper, rather than emailing them as attachments to emails. They can simply be uploaded to the portal and parents can go do some self-service getting to them. Once again, this ability to see announcements, alerts, and notifications, and go ahead and click on them to be able to see the details. This is a little redundant, as you can also see these in the news feed, and a parent can also see them on that home screen. If they slide down to the bottom, you'll see the notifications and the announcements and the links to the websites and the computer files are there as well. That directory, again, why struggle to create a directory when you've already got the information about these people in your Admin Plus? So your staff directory, your parent directory makes it super, super easy for parents to come in here and to search, by classes or to search by grade levels, etc., etc. And notice in this case, the parent has access to the student directory, and that raises a lot of eyebrows that it would be possible for you to publish a directory of students and make it visible to the people who are logged into the portal. But in this case at my school, I made a choice to simply reveal the names of the students and what homeroom they are in. That's it. And again, hang in there for another 5-10 minutes because we're going to go look at the administrative console and show you where a lot of this information is controlled. Of course, online billing, access to things like the online forms and any invoices that have been created in the Rediker system and need to be paid. Parents can just jump right in here and go and pay these bills right online through the convenience of the PlusPortals. Fantastic system for keeping everything in one place. That's kind of the goal here. So we want to minimize how many different places a parent needs to go to access academic information, to access announcements, to go see the bills that they need to pay, or sign up for a payment plan for tuition and execute that. All can be done inside of this Rediker system. A couple of things I want to mention here. We did a webinar on this recently where parents can come in and see select demographic information that you have on file for them inside of your Admin Plus. And if something here is not correct, they can go ahead and submit changes to you, which notifies you and then gives you the opportunity to say, yeah, I'll accept that change and have it right directly into your Admin Plus environment. Besides changing their password and dealing with their email signature if they choose to, there's also an important set of controls here for the directory listing, where in this case, mom could be a little bit more selective about how much of her information displays in this online directory. So if she is not a fan of having others be able to see her email address when when they're logged into the portal looking at the directory, she can make those changes and tailor the amount of information there. And it's also through the portals where she can sign up for automated email notifications that would advise her about things that are going on, mostly in the classroom, but not strictly in the classroom. Also, school announcements and group announcements can be added to these reports that basically get emailed on the schedule that the parent selects. And these can go out through emails and include push notifications through the mobile app. So again, fantastic way for parents to have a little bit more control over some of the content that they receive from your school. What I really want to do here is go into the PlusPortals one more time, but this time I want to enter in as a administrator. This would be the fourth of the 4 roles that are available. Again, parents, students, teachers, administrators. This is where you control the show. This is where you make decisions about who can get into the portals. And when they get in there, what can they see? What can they do? There's a tremendous amount of control over here. It all starts with this list, like these. This is the list of every single one of the parents in my school. How many are on this list? I have to look over my computer to see at the bottom of the screen here that there are 645 parent accounts. No, I did not have to enter these in. No, I did not have to upload these. These are fed automatically from Admin Plus. When you add a parent into the system, if you go in here and you add a new contact into Admin Plus, one of the things it's going to ask you about that contact, well, you know what? I don't want to fill all this all out here. Let me go to edit an existing contact and say, hey, do I want this parent to have access to the parent portal? It's all you need to do is check the box. For most of you, that'll go on by default, and then adding that parent in there will cause them to have an account in the PlusPortals, which they will need to activate. Same thing for the students. You don't need to add them. They will already be there. And same thing for your teaching staff. They're all here. If you need to help them out by resetting their password or sending them information about how to go ahead and get into the system, we've got a system that's all rigged with email templates that will go ahead and you can send out all these instructions about how to click on the link and how to reset the password and how to activate a portals account. So all of those controls live right inside of here. Also, administrators within the PlusPortals, you're not limited to that one PlusPortal admin account. You can add additional administrative users of the PlusPortals. And, there are times that you want to do that. You want to add somebody that maybe they're not even somebody that's a teacher or a staff member at the school. You may have a reason to have an outsider and give them access to certain information. Notice all the check boxes allow you in that case to give granular control to that person over what they can see and what they can do as an administrator of the portals. And lastly, manage account settings. These are high-level settings to manage the accounts like passwords. Do you want to allow them to reset their own passwords? Do you want to enable two-factor authentication for the 3 different classes of users that you see here? Oh, the restriction list. This is fantastic. What do you do when you have somebody that hasn't, paid their bill on time? You may want to add them to the restriction list and make it so that if they go and try to log in, that they're going to have a difficult time getting to sensitive information, because if their name appears on this list, then they will not be able to get to important information. Let's see here. Andy Wezig. Andy Wezig logs into the PlusPortals, maybe expecting to see some grades, but Andy will not see the grades because his count has been restricted and he can't get to the good stuff, except he can go and probably find out why he's been restricted. I bet it's because, yeah, he never paid us. He never paid us for the registration fee. So all he needs to go through and pay that up, and then somebody will release him from that restriction list, and he'll have the ability to not only get logged into the portals, but to see the information that would otherwise be hidden from him because he's on the restriction list. Other controls here, like the New Year transition mode and locking accounts in mass. Like if you want to lock all the student accounts out, all the parent accounts out, all the teacher accounts out. There are times of the year when you want to do that. It's typically when you're setting things up and making some changes that you might want to temporarily get everybody out of the portals. One of my favorite areas to talk about is the permissions area. There are a ton of permissions here. This is not a bad thing. This is a very, very good thing that you can come in here and decide at a very high level, are you going to even display the directory? Yes or no? Are you going to opt in by default? Is that going to be your choice, where you would opt everybody into the directory and then have them opt out if they don't want to be in there? Or are you going to do it the other way? Are you going to opt everybody out of the directory so that their information is not shown unless and until they elect to opt in? It's good to have choices here. Oh, some of you are ReadySite customers, meaning your school's website is with Rediker. And this is a unique capability here to send information about your staff right on over into your ReadySite without having your webmaster have to reauthor this content. That's right. Which what I mean is in Admin Plus, you put in a person's name and their title and other information about them, and then it becomes not necessary to update the public-facing website as that information is repurposed and brought on through into your ReadySite. Do you want to enable push notifications? Do you want to put portfolio tracking on to see who's clicking on portfolio documents? Oh, the health questionnaire was a kind of a byproduct of the COVID era. We don't really talk too much about that anymore. But look at some of the granularity you have here. Like some of you may, when I was showing the scores that the students were earning in their class, up to the minute. Some of you are like, no. We don't do it that way. We don't want, for our pre-K students, like we don't even want parents to be able to see any grades for them. Go ahead and uncheck the boxes and tailor the PlusPortals environment for your particular school. Some schools want the student to be able to log in and to see what their GPA is and what their class rank is, whether or not the student made the honor roll. They want them to be able to see that right through the portals, and other ones say, no, thank you. Progress box, scores, progress report settings. Do you want them enabled? Do you want them turned off? Go ahead and make those choices in here. Showing skills view on the performance tab. How much detail do you want there to be? Is there certain information that you do not want to show up? It's just as easy for you to walk through your PlusPortal admin console and look at these things as for me to show them. But I'm going to just go to the bottom of the list here. This is a course by course area to go in and decide whether those courses should show up in the PlusPortals or not. There's a lot of controls here. You may have some cryptic course names that you want to go ahead and spell out and have them have a more friendly appearance in the PlusPortals. This is the place to go ahead and make those settings and then choose them. But then we get into the individual role permissions. Like, hey, at your school, do you want parents to be able to see the attendance and the discipline information about the students? Maybe not. So just uncheck the boxes and scroll down and click the save button. We talked about those directories earlier. Do you want to enable the directory for parents? And if you do you want to show them the directory of parents? Yes or no? And if so, by default, how much information about the parents do you want to show them? Do you want parents to see the teacher directory? Do you want parents to see the student directory? Yes or no? Again, this is just the parents and you having control over the directories to enable whether or not parents will see information about teachers, about students, and about parents, and having granular control over that. Should parents see the discussions? Should parents get push notifications regarding attendance? Do you want parents to get an automated email at 2:00 in the afternoon on whether or not their child was marked absent that day? You want the parents to be able to see the meetings for online links? They can't. That's why the parent couldn't see the link, but the student could. Demographic information. Hey, we get it. There is data in your Admin Plus that you probably do not want the parents to be able to see. You may have some special education information in here or some billing information. You can see that all 260 of the demographic data fields can have their visibility set for parents to be able to see it, and then whether or not they can submit changes to you on it. Great. And all you need to do is click Save Settings to make those changes go live. Now, that was just the parents, but right next door are the students. Once again, do we want the students to be able to see the directory? Do we want students to be able to see their attendance data? If they're going to be able to see the directory, should they be able to see the parent directory? Should they be able to see the teacher directory? Should they be able to see the student directory? It's all controlled individually. And then again, similar controls here that govern what the students are able to see when they're logged into their portals. And then finally, we have the teachers themselves. Oftentimes, you want teachers to be able to see a bunch of content that you might not want the parents or the students to be able to see. You might want the teachers to be able to view the discipline records of the students without the students or the parents being able to see the discipline incidences that have been recorded in the system. And so this controls the interface for teachers. And notice once again, when it comes to that directory, that you can specify whether they have access to the parent directory, the teacher directory, the student directory. And so it's completely possible to show information to your teachers that parents don't get to see or students don't get to see or vice versa. Communications, very, very powerful. If you're an administrator at the school, maybe you're the principal's assistant or the principal or a guidance counselor. Maybe it's part of your job to broadcast communications out. Rediker gives you many different tools to do this. Maybe you were just asked to send out, some communications to all of the parents and all of the students who have May Batchelder and Elise Bosworth in their class. Maybe it's your job to send a notification out to everybody on the football team or individuals on the football team. Maybe you need to communicate to all of the teachers who teach pre-K and grade K. Now, you don't need to know who these people are. All you need to know is that they teach pre-K or grade K. Admin Plus knows all that and therefore adds them to the list, and you can go ahead and attach your files and put in your subject and broadcast out emails, including a push notification, which would cause a pop-up on the mobile app, which we'll also talk about in a few minutes. We talked about posting announcements and notifications and alerts. As an administrator, you have this ability to generate these particular types of communications. And when you do, make decisions about, for example, how long do you want these things to stick in the portals? If this is an announcement that a week from now should disappear from view, go ahead and put an end date on it. And if you want it to show up on that login screen, all you have to do is check the box. And that login screen that people go to, they'd be able to see this communication even before they log into the portal. It's very powerful. Calendar. We talked about this already. We talked about the ability for you to add events to the calendar and put in details, decide, hey, is this for parents? Is this for students to see? Is it for all grade levels, or this is just for the high school people and the staff at the high school? Go ahead and make those selections, put in your start and end date, categorize these things, make them repeat, put attachments on them, put a link to a website in there, even click the box to send an email notification now about this event, even though it might not take place until a month and a half from now. Fantastic ability to manage events, especially given the fact that you can incorporate other external calendars and use the content on the other calendars to drive what appears in the PlusPortals calendar. In this case, I have a Google calendar called TCA Athletics. Notice the color here, such that if my athletic director is posting events on this Google calendar, they're going to be merged into my PlusPortals calendar and display out for everybody. And I will tell you right now that the events on the calendar that you're seeing here, like this wrestling event and this girls volleyball, these are not coming from the PlusPortals. They're coming from a Google calendar that I attached to the PlusPortals. And so this is fantastic. If you have your admissions director prefers to use an Outlook calendar, and your athletics director prefers to use a Google calendar, and you just like to use the PlusPortals to add your events in, go ahead, put them all in. They'll all get integrated into this singular calendar. School resources are that place for you to add links to websites and upload computer files from your hard drive or your Google Drive or your Microsoft OneDrive. Again, these post to the portal, and when logged in, users can see those resources and easily click on them to either download the files or go off to that website. A fantastic way to consolidate information and get all of this important content all in one place. Do you want email notifications to be automatically blasted out? Do you want parents to be able to get those weekly or daily reports automatically? Do you want your internal staff notified, about discipline incident submissions? So if a ninth grader is written up for a discipline incident by a teacher in the portal, do you want an automatic email to be sent to Brian Cottier, who is in charge of discipline for the ninth grade? So he is immediately aware that a discipline incident just went down for one of the students who are in the ninth grade. Who do you want to get notified when demographic updates are submitted? Do you want to turn on automated attendance push notifications that would go on through the mobile app and show up for the parents of students who meet the criteria? Now, we could do a whole session here on some of the setup area here. I am going to kind of glance over some of this stuff, like, hey, what page should people go to when they log out of the portals? And emails, do I want to set up these email templates? Do I want to customize them all? The login credentials one, the I forgot my password one, the automated notifications template, the incident notifications, and demographic notification email templates can all be set up inside of this area. We talked briefly about defining groups like the football team And of course, you're going to need a place to define those groups and set them up. And in this case, I've got it set up so that, any of the students in Admin Plus who has a yes in the football data field will automatically get added to this group. So that's all I have to do is put a yes in a demographic data field, and the students are automatically refreshed inside of this group that we've built for the football team. Which of your portfolio categories do you want to become available in the PlusPortals? Do you have other software that you use at the school, like a Final Site website or a fax tuition billing system or the Follett library management system? Or do you use teacher lists to make it easy for parents to buy things that your teachers want in the classroom? Do you use the Donor Perfect fundraising and donor management system? If so, you'll want to enable these integrations inside of the system. I'm going to hold off on the course requests. I've decided to do a dedicated webinar to talking about the online course request system where students submit requests to take certain classes for next year, and those requests, once approved by a guidance counselor or an administrator, loads up the scheduling system that is used to determine when should we schedule all of these classes to take place. We'll do a whole course, not a course. We'll do a whole dedicated session on that. The unit builder is a place in the software that allows administrators to put content in that can be used by the teachers. So they don't have to build some of the content themselves. It can be built for them and added into their lesson planner. The Donor Perfect Online integration is only for those schools that use Donor Perfect as their fundraising and donor management. And you may want to define some global email addresses so that when you send blasts out of the portals, you might want to specify a kind of a generic return email address like info@the shumuraacademy.org. And then any of the users over here would be able to use that when they sent out these blasts to make it so that perhaps those responses don't go back over to that particular user. The appearance area is very important in the portals. I get questions, Ted, how is it that your portal looks, so good? It looks like your school's website. It has the same branding and a logo and the colors. Well, that's because I just took a couple of seconds to go in here and to modify the appearance of my PlusPortals, uploading my banner and deciding which of these boxes, if you will show up in the PlusPortals when people go to log into the portals. This specifies how much information that they'll be able to see on that. There are reports in the PlusPortals. You can generate user lists or see who's logging in. Which parents are logging in, which students are logging in, which staff members are logging in, and which ones have not. So there's some reports here that can be valuable to you. And the email analytics area is here so that you can have some idea of the effectiveness of some of these email blasts that you might be doing out of the portals. So you want to know not only how many emails got delivered, but is anybody clicking on these things? Have any of them bounced? You'll want to go in there and take a look at the activity feed, which again allows you to go ahead in and see even more information about who's receiving these emails. Are they bouncing? Are they getting marked as spam? There's some powerful information in there, and you can also deal with any bounce backs and basically do a better job of administering the email in the system. Okay, last thing I have for you today, as we just hit the hour mark here, is not to forget about the fact that you have the PlusPortals mobile app, which was just recently redesigned. And make sure, please, that every one of your parents and every one of your students knows that for no cost, they can go up to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and they can go ahead and download the Plus Portals mobile app. And then once again, within the confines of what you've set up in the administrative area, they would be able to go in and see this information, these various news feeds and these the calendar activities that have their assignments on them and other events at the school. And so that they'd be able to see the scores that they're earning on their tests and quizzes and homework assignments. And hey, what does my child need to do for homework tonight? And are they keeping up? To be able to see the grades that the students are earning in their classes and the students' schedule of classes. I'm logged in as a parent, so even this ability to navigate from one student to the other and look at this important information that the school has on file, or dive right into the classroom, get right in there and see things like the teacher pages and the various scores and assignments and the class resources. These are those files and website links that the teacher is entering into the Plus Portals for the benefit of the student. That information is right here, along with the class summaries, etc., and access to many other parts of the Plus Portals is all conveniently available through the mobile app. Okay, so with that, let's get this wrapped up here and let you know that, yeah, there's a lot of information there, but of course, you've got the Plus Portals user guide right on our website. So get on in there and check out all the content that we've got on the Plus Portals Manager, the teacher portal, the parent portal, the student portal. It's all the same portal, of course. It's just broken into those 4 roles. There's even some information here on the Plus Portal mobile app. So if you're a self-help type of person, you know what to do. Get in there and access that content. If you want some help, I know I sound like a broken record, but I deserve to put a quick pitch in for our wonderful training staff who are experienced and helpful and can help you navigate and set up any aspect of the portal. Not only answer simple questions for you, but help you to strategize and do some best practice planning. And of course, as always, the conduit to the trainers is through your account manager here at Rediker. So just go ahead and get in touch with them and have some discussions about maybe getting into those portals and turning on some of that great functionality that we have for you there. Okay, this is a long one. This was over an hour, but there's just simply a lot of content here. I really hope it was helpful. And even if you just picked up a tidbit or two, it's always worth it for me to know that I've been able to help out a little bit. If you have any commentary about any of these webinars, any suggestions for future ones, go ahead and snap off an email to me or to your account manager, and we will do what we can to get that content incorporated into these webinars. Once again, thank you so much. We appreciate you as customers. Thanks a lot and have a great day.